Good job. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Had a good meal? Yes? Nice weekend so far? Perfect. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first plug this out. Everybody can hear me, yes? Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so my name is Alain Jean-Baptiste, as I had this great introduction by Steve. Thank you very much, Steve. I'll give you some money later. No, I'm just kidding. Okay? I'm here to help you today look at your mindset, all right? Talked about a lot about making money this weekend, and it's good. It's great. Some of you that are going to do the real estate, some of you that are doing the gold or platinum or other program, you're going to come up with obstacles, all right? So it's very important you stay focused on your dreams. And so I'm going to talk about intuition, and then I'm going to talk about how to create success more consciously, how to define it, what are some pitfalls, how to be careful. As you know, Steve yesterday mentioned something very powerful. He said, you have to watch your ego. The reason is when you start making a lot of money, your mind starts to change. The neurochemistry of your mind starts to change. Just like when you lose a lot of money, it changes. Most people usually see that, through depression and stuff like that. But, what happens is that the more you make money, sometimes people associate it with their identity, okay? And so that's good up to a point, but after another point, it sort of makes you sort of delusional, and sometimes it makes you treat people differently. And so I'm going to give you some tips on how to handle that. So the training for today is I'm going to spend about an hour 15, or at tops an hour and a half with you on recognizing some of the most powerful tools right now in terms of mindset. Now, the big word you're going to use, which wasn't used before, is the word intuition. So myself as an intuitive or medium, some people that speak French know the word medium, have the ability to not only know certain things that are going to come up in the future, but how you can do the same using your own internal compass, your internal senses, all right? And so just a little bit about me really fast. Just a moment here. Perfect. I don't usually use PowerPoint, so please indulge me. All right, so my name, as I said, is Alain Jean-Baptiste. I'm an NLP trainer for 20 years. NLP is the study of excellence. It's also the study of how you create your own reality and how you can change it by your own perceptions. It stands for neuro, which is your neurological system. Yes? Jonathan and Regin? Okay. Please go to aisle 5. Aisle 5? All right. Neuro for neurology, your nervous system. Linguistics for the words that you use. Now, does anybody know anything about hypnosis? Okay. You do this and then you have people do whatever you want. It's not exactly like that, okay? Hypnosis as a definition is a change in consciousness, okay? So when you're listening to TV and your wife or your husband is going blah, 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 and you sort of phase out and just watch the TV, that's some type of hypnosis, okay? It's a type of trance, so that's what that is, okay? And P for programming, which means re-educating the brain, your mind, okay? I've studied with some of the people such as J. Abraham, John Conrad Livingstone, who invented guerrilla marketing. Chet Holmes is also a guerrilla marketing guru. He worked with Tony Robbins. He was in charge of his sales. I've studied in alternative and conflict resolution at the Harvard University Project. I'm the creator of higher sensory perception, which is developing 12 senses instead of just 5, and the author of the book, The 7 Lost Senses, which I'm going to be giving out 2 copies in the end. Okay? Just so you know about me a little bit more also, usually what I coach is people in business, such as yourself, or leaders, which most of you are going to become. If you're not, we'll see about that in a couple of minutes. So Gatineau Chamber of Commerce, some of the clients have been named Personality of the Week, the month, Montreal Chamber of Commerce, because I'm in Montreal. I had the Businessman of the Year for the 2004 and 2003. I helped him create the success for his businesses. And so I'll leave this with you afterwards if you want to look into it a little bit more. But it's just to say that my specialty is to help people, entrepreneurs, create success. All right? So the secret weapon of all of the world's most powerful business leaders is intuition. Since we're in real estate, I found the main man also that does it. Who knows Donald Trump? Who's heard of Donald Trump? Okay, AKA the Donald, as they say. Who also has the show The Apprentice. He was quoting and saying in 2002 that I've built a multi-billion-dollar empire by using my intuition. Here I'm letting my instinct tell me how we have to work together to build the America we deserve. I stand for getting things done. As you know, you're fired. That's his main thing. So, all right. John Nesbitt, okay, who talks about megatrends, said intuition becomes increasingly valuable in the new information society precisely because there is so much data. Okay? And Bill Gates, everybody know Bill Gates? Okay. Bill Gates is now worth $78 billion, I think. So you cannot ignore your intuition. Often you have to rely on intuition, okay, in terms. The reason intuition is so powerful now and so important, and it's going to get more and more important, is that we're dealing with the information age. And there's so much information all the time that your brain processes that information, and it's just too much. If you remember, well, you probably don't remember, but humans are about, what, let's just say over 200,000 years, or probably a million or 2 million. But what we used to use as human beings is something very simple called intuition, okay, a long time ago to survive, either to run or fight. And so now it's coming back in terms of, instead of just looking at all the data and processing data after data and sheets and numbers, you rely on your, what's called your gut instinct, okay? Your sixth sense, if you want to call it that way. Sun Tzu said, which is one of the greatest general and leaders that ever walked this earth, said, intuitive abilities, in terms of market research, what I want you to remember from Sun Tzu, if you're going to take notes, is that he said one major thing, okay? It's very simple. Know thyself and know thy enemy. In our case, it's know thy clients or competitors, and you will win 1,000 battles. I'm going to focus on the part of you knowing yourself. Because if you know yourself, then you can more easily manage the leadership that you want and create the reality and success that you want. So what is leadership? Why are you here now this weekend? Sir, why are you here? To learn? To learn what? How to invest in the USA? Okay. Who else is here for something? Sir? Mike? Yes? Financially free. Okay, perfect. Now, who here is a leader then? Raise your hand. That's it? Oh. Who has children? I guess there's more leaders right here than I thought. Okay. No, you're coming with me right now. You're going to your room. All right? The reason I asked who's a leader and some raised their hand and others didn't, and I asked who's a parent, is that I just changed the definition of leadership. Okay? You know when you're late that that kid has to follow, right? So who has to follow? Either the kid is running the show or you're running the show. So you know that the leader is 3 years old or 50 years old, okay? So it's all a question of perception. The most important part is, I'll give you a definition in which you'll see leadership a little bit more broad. And the reason it's important for you is that as you start buying properties and dealing with contractors and dealing with lawyers and accountants and people that try to rip you off and con artists, because in the U.S., well, like anywhere in the world, I guess, I just think the U.S. because that's the market we're working in right now. But, you know, some people are just going to try to grab your money, okay? They'll have you sign a check, open the bank, and you're all partners, and there's three signatures on the check, and then one day you get there at the bank, and boom, no more money, because the two conspired against you, and blah, 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 okay? That's why it's important to get a coach. So how perception affects your perception of yourself and leadership is what will determine how good of a leader you will be, just to start with, all right? Leading responsibly, okay? There's two words in there, leading and responsibly, if you want to write them down. The first one is leader. So the definition I wrote for you is, a leader is someone who directs the flow, the movement, the direction of a group or an organization towards a goal and an outcome. Now, the main words in here are lead, direction or movement, and then towards a goal. Okay? You can't be a leader if you don't have a goal or a vision or an outcome. It's very simple. Why? Because it's either creative in terms of creativity going towards, or you're going away from in terms of a crisis or a tragedy or something like that. Okay? Who's heard this weekend there was a plane that crashed? Everybody heard about that? Okay? What happened? All of a sudden, leaders from across the world all mobilized themselves to figure out what's going on. Ambulances, helicopters, all the resources, all the movement was directed toward finding out, hey, what happened here? This is important. Some people died. All right? Responsible. Responsibility comes from the word response and ability. Now, here's the trick. In order to have an ability, you must first do it first. Okay? Everybody knows how to use fork and knives? Yes? You learned the ability after, right? You didn't just come out and say, you know, I want to eat something, and then you're like 2 months old, and, you know, give me a fork, mommy. Oh, Lord, no. Okay? So, responsibility. It is your ability to respond to a situation. Okay? Most of the time when people say responsibility, they attract a huge weight to it. Okay? No, I don't want to take responsibility. The most powerful position to be in as a leader is to take the responsibility. Why? Because then you're able to respond. If you're not able to respond, it means somebody else can respond for you, and then you get limited by their response. Everybody understands that so far? Perfect. Reality is a feedback mechanism. It is the vehicle that enables you to best calibrate success. Now, let me shorten that up. Okay? What that means is that when you're living what you're living, and when you start buying properties and things start to go well, this will tell you that you're doing it correctly. When it starts going bad, it's a feedback mechanism saying, listen, there's some things you're not doing properly. A lot of those things will be related to your belief system. Okay? If you don't believe that you can make it, you know, probably, I'd still start, but at one point you're going to have to change that belief. Okay? The fun thing I like to do is when you coach somebody and they say, well, I want to make $10,000 a month, and then you said, well, okay, let's start with 30, and they go, whoa, wait. No, I want to start with 10. I said, well, why not 30? Well, I think 10 would be a good start for me to just get things rolling. Yeah, but I want to give you $30,000 a month, so why not take it? Oh, no, I'm not ready for that. You're like, okay, let me get this straight. I'm going to give you $20,000 extra, but you don't want it. Yeah, but I think, you know, I need to go through a process before that. No, you just need to go to my bank account, pick up the check, and go home. Okay? Okay? Because of their belief system. Okay? I'm happy I get more money for me. I just keep it. Okay? How do you lead responsibly? Define what success is for you, your community, or your organization. Okay? The most powerful thing, and this is why I love to work with the guys, I call them the guys because we're like family, with Steve and stuff, is the community. Okay? It is so powerful when you go on Facebook and you read people say, you know, I got this property, I need this help with that, which form should I use? And even though some people say this, the other people say that, and then you get to choose from there and decide, hey, you know what? There's a lot of people there to help me. Okay? Whether it be that or your own business or your own personal life, it's very important to stay connected, all right? Look at the impact of your decisions and how it affects your followers and the environment. This is very important. Ask yourself, am I taking in the human factor effect? Okay? Whenever you start dreaming and you say, you know what, I want 5 properties, and then in the next 2 months, a lot of people forget that you need to have people helping you for it. So either lawyers, accountant, maybe they'll be busy, maybe they're not. So whenever you're creating your dreams, factor in the fact that there's other people in the equation, and then you won't be going from one step to another and taking something that took 2 months to do to take actually 6, 7 months, and then losing a lot of money at the same time. Are you being responsible to your followers, your community, and your organization? I'll talk about that a bit more when I talk about self-mastery and self-destruction, okay? It's just a fine line. It's related to worth. And this is where the money starts to trick your brain and the physiology of your brain, okay? What is intuition? Yay, I love that one. Intuition is having a sense of knowingness about something or someone. It's not just guessing. It's you know, okay? As an example, I went for lunch, And I'm like, okay, I got to go. I got to finish this thing. I'm running late. And I go there, and we waited like 40 minutes. I said, that's it. I'm not staying. I left, and I realized that my assistant and my graphic designer mixed up my presentation. And I'm like, oh, my God. Okay, and I took 10 minutes. But all this time I was thinking, there's something that's not right. I need to go right now. Okay? Crystal, I love you. So it's not because I left that I didn't love you and all. From the restaurant. Okay? It is also referred to as a gut feeling, an instinct, or a sixth sense. So when you read it online or something like that, or books and everything, you'll often hear people say gut feeling. Especially I work a lot with CEOs and presidents of corporations, so they'll say my gut feeling. Okay? So, there's a book actually called, Executive Follow Your Hunch, okay, which is about intuition and in management. It is the primordial sense you use in any and every type of decision-making or process. Who came here logically this weekend? You came here logically? Yes, no? You were sure a minute ago. Logically? So what are the logical steps you came to make your decision to come here? But how did it start? How did that process of you choosing to come here start? There you go. Well, okay? Intuition. It always starts here. Now what we do is sometimes we say, oh, no, yes, no. And we try to balance it. Anybody buy a car? Same thing, okay? You go with the emotion and then you rationalize your purchase for like anything. When I taught with Steve and the gang last summer on how to influence investors and persuade them to, give money towards the goal and outcome you had with them and for yourself, I talked about that a lot. How to work with feelings, emotions, nonverbal communication to be able to get to that point in which they'll trust you. Okay, it's all about trust, which is the new currency, actually. How do you lead intuitively? Leadership is the act of connecting with those senses that enable you to gain access to information that are just beyond the natural five senses. Okay, sometimes intuition makes no sense. Okay, Steve Jobs talked about it. Bill Gates talks about it. A lot of people, they'll just feel it and they go for it. Okay, they'll feel like sometimes like they're rebels, mavericks, revolutionaries. Okay, why? Because they feel that sense that there's something in the future. So it's always calibrated towards the future, not the past. That's why it's more and more important. Okay, it's to function from a mindset of an accomplished outcome, which means in the future that it's there, it's finished, and you succeeded. And this is why it's most important. To then outlining the steps and processes you need to take in order to manifest that dream, goal, or vision. Okay? I'm going to give you just a small example you can use is when you came here, you had to reserve your flight or your hotel. What else? Seminar. So you took it from here, being here this weekend, and going the step backwards on how am I going to get it, right? It's the same process. Those who lead intuitively lead with the end in mind. Start with what you want and imagine that it's completed first. And then you go backwards of how did I do it? What are the steps I need to do that? They're highly creative. They're extremely resourceful. They understand that, sorry for the mistake here, that the future creates the present against the backdrop of the past. Okay? What happens is that as you go and start doing more and more real estate, at one point your beliefs from your past, how your mother did this, or your father did this, or I learned this at school, or your previous beliefs are going to come up in the present. And when you're faced with the situation, then it'll create an internal conflict within you. Thinking, yes or no, I'm doing it or I'm not doing it. Should I trust this person? Should I not trust this person? And sometimes you'll trust this person because he's similar to somebody you knew in the past, but unfortunately that person in the past you can trust, but you still did, and then you ended up making another mistake. Okay? And so it's very important to recognize that you're always going towards your outcome and to ask a lot of questions. Have a strong sense of connection to their dreams, goals, and vision beyond even when reality seems to show them otherwise, like I just said with Steve Jobs, who's the late Steve Jobs, who owned the Apple, the computer company. Research shows, this is new, this is like, I think it came out a couple of weeks ago. Research shows people who use their intuition make more money than others. Okay? Professor Emeritus, did I say that right? Emeritus? John Mihalakis, Mihalaski of the New Jersey Institute of Technology, formerly known as the College of Engineers, if I remember correctly, ran a series of intuition tests on a group of high-flying CEOs. He discovered something exciting. 81% of CEOs with high intuition scored double their businesses in just 5 years. Okay? Why? Because there are certain decisions and processes and choices you're going to take that if you feel intuitively you're at the right spot, you will take. And if you feel it's not a good thing, you're just not going to do it. Ever get that feeling that, I don't know, I shouldn't do that? Okay? Like going for lunch? No, I'm just kidding. All right? Whereas only 25% of CEOs with low intuition scored achieved the same. Bye. Okay? The proof is in the numbers. So in this example of that specific research, the striking example is that over a 5-year period, one president had increased his company's annual profit from 1.3 million to 19.4 million. His test scores was 16. Another had been able to increase his profit by only 374,000. His score was 8. This experiment, of course, there's more people, and I just took a couple of them. And this experiment proved a strong correlation between intuition and the ability to attract money, and showed how gut feeling plays an important role in making the right decision. Okay? Now the Army is starting to use intuition and trying to find ways to help soldiers so that when they go on the field, they can sense a little bit more, because through PTCSD and other research, what happens is that over time they discovered that some soldiers, and I believe one is from Montreal actually, I forget his name, but sensed that something bad was going to happen, and he didn't go, and the rest of his platoon, unfortunately, didn't make it. French scientist Alexis Carrel said, "All great men are gifted with intuition. They know without reasoning or analysis what they need to know. Recent studies among leaders confirm this and underscore the value of developing intuition." Okay. So now, talked of intuition. Now, let's look at success. All right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for about another 15, 20 minutes just to outline it. Then I'm going to have people come up front with me, and I'm going to show you how to change beliefs and really put into your mind a mindset of more possibilities. Okay? So what is success? Success as a definition, okay? If everybody used the same, actually, let's see. What's your definition of success? Okay, so that's your definition. Good. All right, sir, what would be your definition of success? Yeah, you, sorry. What's your name? Sorry, I forgot. What's your name? Your name? Justin? What's your definition of success, Justin? Okay. Okay, mindfulness free. Okay. Sir? Fulfillment? Okay, perfect. Sir, what's your name? Patrick. And what was your name? Sorry. Dominic? Patrick. Patrick, go ahead. To achieve your goals, okay. I'll be there happy with why you're, okay, perfect. So, yes, sir? Okay, so far we have time, we have goals, we have outcomes, we have never give up, okay? How come nobody has the same definition? It's just a word. Why isn't the word the same? If I look in the dictionary, I look at a word, that's the definition. So why are definitions so different? Okay. I'm sorry, say again? Your beliefs? Everybody's mindset is different, okay? So is success the same for everybody? Why not? Damn. Damn. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. What? Our needs, okay. And our wants are the same. Perfect, good. Okay, so we have different tools, and we're also different human beings, okay? So I want you to remember this very importantly, okay? You have to define what success is for you. I guarantee you, if you take somebody else's success definition, and it seems all nice and shiny and blah, blah, blah with the bling, well, You don't have to add bling. You can add bling if you want. If you take somebody else's success, at one point, if it's not yours, you are going to self-sabotage, okay? Trust me, you're going to remember this day, all right? So write it down for yourself. If you have to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, take your time. If you're going to invest thousands and hundreds of thousands or $1 million in real estate, please do at least just that, just to start, all right? In business, it can be seen as the manifestation of your vision. So when you look at online and vision statements and business, different businesses and organizations, you'll always see vision or mission, okay? For serious companies, I mean. When I train people, when I coach people one-on-one, that's the first thing I work with them on, okay? What's your vision? What are your mission? What do you want to create in the long run? Well, I want to buy properties. Okay, well, for what? Why? Okay, the why is the most important part, because when things get rough, you have to remember why you started it and why you want to keep achieving it, all right? It is the creation of the desires and expectations that you hold in your imagination. So 3 components. Whatever you do, you always use the same thing. Desire, imagination, and expectation. Now, you need to define what those expectations are, okay? Because if you do not get what you want, it's very simple. You're going to get either down, depressed, or feel that you messed up or something like that. So just recalibrate, okay, and change your expectation. It doesn't mean lowering your expectation, but recognize again, responsibility, respond to what's there so that you can create it again and again and again. Even if you fail, you can learn from that failure, because it's not really failure, it's feedback. It's failure if you call it failure, and unfortunately, you'll live those feelings that go with that word. Okay, so 1, create it consciously, define it, give it meaning, okay? For me, success is being able to take care of my family. It's being able to take, for myself, maybe 20 hours a week just to make sure my child is okay, my fiance is okay, and just having fun, okay? Coming here is fun for me, right? So for me, it gives meaning because I help people, and we always have a lot of fun because the gang is so funny, okay? And then you become aware of it. So you have to become aware of what you define for yourself. And then you work with the energies. There are 2 types of energies, okay? It's very simple. 2 categories, sorry. Sustaining energies, which means you keep it going, and expanding energies. So if you're making $100,000 or $5,000 a month for 5-10 years, then you probably want to expand that. That's expanding energies, okay? And these are the components right here. When you define it, state it positively. I always tell my clients, don't tell me what you don't want. Tell me what you want. And then say, well, I don't want that. No. Say it again. What do you want specifically? Okay? How? Formulate it. Write it down. Look at it, and then you'll be able to see, more importantly, how your brain's stating it. Write it down, and again, specifically. Yes? Abraham and Dominic. Thanks. Okay? These are the energies of success. Generating energies are trust, value to know that you are valuable yourself. Okay? Gratitude is a form of generating energy, because the more you're grateful, that's why you see so many millionaires and billionaires and, everyday, well, I wouldn't say everyday people, but philanthropists, okay? They give back. Why? They feel the gratitude. So it always generates more for them, either in terms of publicity, in terms of feeling better, in terms of wanting to do more, okay? Steve, at one point, I think they gave like $250,000 in Haiti for the community that he builds, all right? Courage, this is a big one, and joy, all right? The sustaining energies are discipline, ownership of your success and failures. If you're going to blame others, you're not going to learn, 1, and 2, you're not going to be able to sustain. Why? Because blaming all the time just brings you more down and down, because it's not your fault. So if it's not, quote, your fault, then you can't do anything about it. You take the responsibility, analyze how can I own this, and how can I do something about it? Okay? Commitment is another one, loyalty and intimacy, and of course, love. Ooh, he's talking about love in real estate. Okay. Right? The Great Pyramids. Okay? You don't need to go to Egypt. You have this in yourself, okay? The first one if you look at both of them, is self-awareness, okay? Self-awareness means you recognize that you have impact on others and others have impact on you. So when you get all gung-ho trying to go and do some real estate stuff and think you're going to do it all yourself, you're going to recognize at one point that there's other people in that environment, and it might be sharks, it might be this, it might be that, but at one point you're going to have to realize there's other people in the environment because you're on planet Earth. I think in Mars, in a couple of years, then if you want to build something down there, they'll probably be alone, but for now, just remember you're on planet Earth, so there's other people with you, okay? Awareness is also your strength and your weaknesses, how you can become aware of it and use them and build on your strength and build on your weaknesses in terms of getting in better. So, if you look at self-mastery, it starts with self-awareness, which goes to self-worth. Self-worth is what you believe your value is, okay? And the problem, again, is that most people associate it to money. It's not. Everybody has the same value, okay? The reason we know that is if you get lost in the park down here anywhere, and you're completely lost, the government's going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go and find you. If you were worthless, they'd say, well, you know what? Probably fall asleep in the middle of the night. All right? So self-worth is the same for everybody. Just remember that. That's one of the most powerful ones because they build on each other. Okay? Self-esteem. A lot of people I coach, CEOs and, high executives, a lot of the time, their self-esteem is built on what they do, which is okay as a feedback mechanism. Sorry, did I say that? Feedback as a self-mechanism, which means that self-esteem means your ability to estimate and evaluate your success. Remember a while ago I said you have to define your success? A lot of people, what they do is they start comparing. Yeah, well, he has 4, I have mine. I'm going to get 9. Oh, you know what? He bought that. I'm going to buy another 4. And it becomes competitive. And then you start comparing yourself. And at one point, it just goes like this all the time, and your self-esteem at one point will take a hit. Okay? Whenever you look for investors, you always want to make sure you don't make the self-esteem go down. Why? You'll lose rapport. It's finished. Okay? You want to give them a sense of feeling valuable, that they're valuable to you, you're valuable to them, and that through working things out, then you can accomplish something. So again, it's very important to define what you want. Then comes self-love. Self-confidence is your ability to rely on the information you're given. Okay? So if you don't trust what you're being given, don't take it because you can't act on it. And if you do, got it? Self-respect. Again, same thing. If your self-worth is good, you'll start treating people with respect. And you get a lot of contractors, they do that. Okay? They treat people like crap. They treat their suppliers, the tenants. And what happens is it always creates conflict. And at that point, then you have to come in and you have to fix it all, and it's going to cost you and cost you and cost you. So if you're going to get people, make sure they have a strong sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, not a false one in which they think they're God's gift. Everybody's God's gift, so you don't have to think about that. All right? Now, this is the ugly part. Self-centeredness. Anybody know somebody who's self-centered? Okay? Exactly. All right? Self-importance. It's always me, what can I get, what I didn't get, blah, blah, blah. Self-centeredness is about the same thing, myself. Okay? No sense of worth. It's always about people giving them the worth, so they need to constantly take. Okay? Narcissistic personality. That's a big one. All right? Self-serving, which means they won't think about you, they'll think about themselves. Unfortunately, that can be quite destructive for you. And if you do it yourself to other investors, at one point, they might figure it out and decide, you know what? I'm out. Okay? And like Donald Trump says, you're fired. All right? Self-deluding is when the reality tells you something and you don't believe it. And so you pretend that everything's going well, but nothing's going well, and you're deluding yourself and believing that's the same thing. Self-indulgent is then the number one enemy you're going to face in your real estate career is greed, if not vanity, okay? Greed will probably distort. Well, it won't probably destroy. I mean, probably if you get there, you'll get destroyed, all right? So be very attentive to that. And greed is something in terms of you're never getting enough, which goes back to your self-worth, okay? Studies show that children and people that have a high self-esteem consume less, okay? Why? Because they don't need to feel and show the materialism that they have. Now, that doesn't mean don't go out and get the car you want, okay? Don't get that Mercedes or Ferrari or whatever you want, or those watches or whatever, okay? It means don't attach yourself to them. It's a measure of success for you to say, you know what? When I reach $50,000 in profit or $20,000, I'm going to buy myself an Omega watch for $6,000, $7,000 or a Breitling, and then that'll remind me sometimes when it's hard that, you know what? I made it. So they're like markers. I would add them to like that if I were you. Okay? Any questions for this so far? Okay. Trust is the new currency, okay? It's perceived experience, knowledge, and skills. Whenever you work with others, your ability to work with them and them with you will be the ability that you trust them, okay? It's not the mafia, you know, they trust about trust and loyalty. It's just basic common sense, okay? And if you trust people you shouldn't or don't think you should, and you do, unfortunately, you'll probably end up paying the price, okay? Another way of trust, a lot in the USA also, a lot of investors, they'll look at your values and your beliefs, okay? First thing they'll ask you, are you a Republican or a Democrat? I usually tell them my color, and then I'm like, no, I'm this, okay, I'm mulatto, okay? Or I say, I'm from Canada, so it's different for us, I don't usually pay attention. Oh, really? Well, are you a family person? Are you a family man? I guess so, I got a kid, he's still in my house, I'm feeding him. Okay, all right. It's the currency, okay? Be very, I can't say enough. Be very careful, okay? Because when somebody has your trust, they can go behind you and take everything they have from you. So just be careful who you let in, okay? If you want, just visualize vampires and you tell them you can't come inside, and they won't be able to come inside your life or your house, all right? Very important. I'm making jokes, but seriously, cons use your trust. Okay, that's just what they do because they know that once they have it, they can, you know, fleece you like crazy, right? The power of conviction, influencing the prospect is 20% of the sale, and 80% relies on your conviction about your ability to influence others to buy your product or service. So again, it all has to do with you. If you believe in it, there's less chance that they won't. Why? Because you're convinced. Okay. Remember George Bush, U.S. president? Okay. Studies show that the reason most people voted for him was that he was good at arguing or debating, they call it in the U.S. Okay, and they just thought that even though they didn't believe or weren't exactly in his opinion or his beliefs, the fact that he was convinced about it is what made them feel more confident. Okay, so that's what he projected. Okay. Projected a lot of stuff across the planet, actually. Okay? Fear. In order to build unstoppable confidence, you have to know your greatest enemy, which used to be our first teacher. Why? Because if there's a huge animal running after you 100,000 years ago, probably fear is a good thing, saying, I'm going to go this way. Okay? In this sensing, I wrote, from ego, the alternate reality, in which you have a choice. You can either listen to your negative ego, or you can listen to the part of you that's more the intuitive part, okay? And that intuitive part will lead you in the future to your outcome. Sure? Oh, expand. I'm sorry, I thought you wanted me to stretch it. I don't know how. I'm sorry, say again? Sure. So if you have fear, okay, name me a fear that you have. What would be a fear that you have right now? In this setting, let's say. I'm sorry? Okay, perfect. So if that's your fear, okay, actually here, come up front. Come here. I'm going to create a fear. Today you'll learn how to create fear in other people. All right? So what's your name? Adrian, I'm Alain. My grandfather is called Adrian. Have a seat. Okay. Now, okay, you can sit down. You okay like that? Okay, perfect. I'm like, all right. So, Adrian, your fear is asking a stupid question. Is that correct?
Now it's different.
Public speaking now? What happened to the other fear? It's not there anymore?
Well, I guess I got beyond it.
Okay, see? I told you I changed people's belief really fast, didn't I? Okay, so there's a video actually on my website, alainjeanbaptiste.com, just if you want to go later on, in which I'm going to do exactly what I'm doing to do with Adrian right now, is fear of, say, public speaking. Are you afraid of all these, of public speaking?
I'm
No?
not afraid of
Okay.
public speaking at
Okay. What is it now that's your fear? Or do you have another fear?
all. Well, maybe my fear is that I didn't articulate my question, or I didn't. There's something that everyone else has seen that I haven't.
Okay.
So when you said
The dinosaur or the animals?
well, no, when you said from the ego to the alternate reality,
Mm-hmm.
the ego is. You're saying the ego is telling me one thing, and the alternate reality is telling me another, or my intuition is telling me one thing. And
Okay, so let me expand on that.
reason,
Okay, so here, when you have a decision to make, okay, so you're going to get a feeling of, let's say, yes or no, right? Yes, I should do it. No, I shouldn't do it. Correct? Okay, so the ego will say, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, even though if it's good for you. Or I'll say, yes, do it, and it's not good for you. Do you understand what I mean? So the idea is listen to your intuition. Okay? Instead of the ego. But you need to separate the both. Okay? That's why I said it's a no.
that's my question.
Yeah.
How do I recognize what my ego is?
So you can use your intuition, which is the feeling, or you can use also your past in terms of, okay, why am I getting this feeling? So right now, if you have a fear, just give me an example of a fear. I'll show you how. I'll show you the mechanism of doing it, so you can do it next time by yourself.
Maybe I'm afraid of you, maybe?
Okay.
I'm afraid of
Yeah, man, you better be afraid of me. Okay? How do you know that you're afraid of me? First of all, you need to define the fear. So, what makes you afraid of me?
Or maybe looking at you.
Okay? So, what is it specifically about looking at me?
Gut feeling, I don't know what it is.
Okay? But what is it specifically that
Well,
makes.
okay, yes, it's a physical sensation
Yes?
that I don't have when I look at crystals, maybe.
Okay, Crystal? How am I going to compete with that? Seriously. Fuck, man. All right. That's sweet. That's nice. Okay. Now I want you to imagine I'm wearing Crystal's clothing right now. What happens to the fear? Oh my God. It's so Montreal. Am I still afraid of me?
No, maybe
See?
I'd be, well, yeah, but I'd be...
It's all about your perception. So what I did now is called reframing. I took her clothing. Well, I didn't take your clothing. It's still on. I'm just saying in my mind. No, not even in my mind. That's not what I mean. Okay? So I just took her. I used SimCity, the video game, in my mind, and I put the same clothing on me, and then I gave you the illusion I was wearing the same thing. So that your brain now has two different. Has a feeling of probably, I'm just using your clothing because, that's the first thing you're looking at. So when you used her, I just changed it. That perception change in your mind, it's called a submodality. Okay? For those who want to know, it's submodality. It's an NLP term, neuro-linguistic programming. So by changing that, your brain automatically changed the code and the feeling it attached to looking at me. Do I look better for you now?
Well, sure.
Okay.
No, now it's articulated, I understand it.
Yes.
But in the moment of being afraid,
Yes. You have to,
feel something in my stomach.
correct. You have to become aware of it, number one. Become aware of it. Two, then you have to ask yourself, what is the fear about? Okay? Because if you just leave it there, it'll just react to it. But if you become aware of it, as I mentioned a while ago, the awareness, as you become of it, then you can do something about it, which I did with you. I asked you, well, what is it specifically? And then you told me, and then I gave you something else, and then as I changed it, you no longer were in that fear because you don't perceive it the same way. Do you understand? If you perceive that you're going to make $100,000 in the next 6 months in real estate, you're going to act a certain way, right? If you think you're going to fail or you're going to sign papers and you're going to fail, you're probably not going to sign the papers or start doing it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is getting out on the intellectual plane.
Correct.
I'm talking about you're in front of the tiger or the dinosaur or whatever, and you feel something here.
Yeah.
You're saying, well, I would give an explanation. Okay, think of yourself out here and look at yourself. That helps you detach yourself.
Correct. I'd still run, though. Okay. Except now I would know I'm running. Do you understand what I mean? My ego would say, no, you're okay. You can beat that tiger up or whatever. But that would not be the truth. So the answer here would be, okay, what are you telling me? It's telling me run because it's my survival, because that animal is probably bigger than me. My negative ego would say something like, no, what? You can beat the animal, or you can fight and take that chance, which is not a good idea. So that reality, you're dead in. The alternate reality is you listen and you go towards getting out of there. Do you understand a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mental gymnastic. I don't want
Correct.
to interrupt your...
Yeah, that's okay. No, you're explaining it. I'm giving more example. Correct.
That we need to explore how to put
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what you need to do also in the environments of real estate. Because if you're in Chicago or, Kansas or whichever properties you go with the team or by yourself, the idea is you're going to have to look at all the different things there and intuitively have to make more choices faster because there's so many components you don't know about. The U.S. economy, the market in that specific city, the laws, the criminals, okay? The things that, you'll go inside a room and it's, a crack house. I'm like, oh, Lord, I didn't know that. It didn't say that on the internet. Come and get a crack house for $15,000. It's on safe a seat, okay? I wouldn't buy it if it did that, say that on, okay? You understand? Okay. Does that make it a bit clearer?
Yeah, no.
Okay, good.
Clearer for me. I
Good.
don't know about other people.
Any other question regarding that? Anybody else want to work on a fear? Okay? No? Okay. Go ahead. Thank you very much, Adrian. Thanks. Daniel? I'm sorry. Say again? Yeah. Right. I'd wear makeup. No, I'm just kidding. For myself, the first thing you would do is you want to become aware if the person is afraid of you. Okay? Then I would send some cues to find out in terms of rapport how to get to that person. But before I would go to the banker, intuitively for myself, I'd get information on the person before I get there, so that I know better how to influence that person. I usually do that before I meet the people. It's a better strategy, and you're prepared beforehand. So you just have to direct and lead the flow afterwards. Okay? But if you're there and you're feeling something's wrong, then it's probably an indication for you that you need to have more information to make a better informed decision. And in that sensing, I would probably not do the deal if I don't feel comfortable for myself. I've stopped deals, like coaching contracts with people at the last minute. They just said something, and I said, that's it. That's all I needed to hear. It sounds cruel, but for me in that sensing, it's because if I don't believe the person will succeed in the future, I don't take him on as clients. It's just, that's not what my coaching is for. Does that answer your question? For the fear, you want to get rapport. So rapport, you would ask them questions that would have them talk more about themselves, and then you want to find something that's associated to something they feel comfortable about. Okay? Another thing is I would probably influence the way they're breathing, because when somebody's stressed, they change their breathing pattern. So I would look at how they're breathing and then start pacing them and then leading them to a calmer state. So I would start talking differently, moving a bit more slowly, and just calming them down. Do you understand what I mean? Does that feel better now? Yes? Okay. Okay? You can see people go through. Okay? That's the way you do it. You need to pace, which means you need to know what they're doing, and then you do the same, and then you lead them towards where you want them to go. Does that Make sense? Good? All right. Fear of success, okay? Most people say, I'm afraid of failure. From what I've learned, most people are afraid of success. The more you give to them, the more like, whoa, 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 okay? So, why? Because they're afraid of losing control, okay? So when you're starting to grow and like Steve, getting more and more, and things are going fast, you have to be able to learn to work intuitively and also to work what's called in terms of mysticism, which means you don't know how to really control it, but you just go with the feel, okay? And the fact that you believe in the end, things will go well. So you have to have some type of optimism, okay? If you're pessimist, probably don't do this kind of business. You'll just, okay? Afraid of being or losing love, that's more in relationship. Sorry, creativity, fear of rejection, okay? Happens so often. People say, well, how many investors did you go see? Oh, I don't know, I don't think they'll want this. I said, well, how do you know? Well, the economy and this. So they start thinking for the other person. Why? Because they're afraid the other person will reject them because they imagine being rejected in their own mind first, okay? If you go to the store, what's your name is? Dominique, okay. Dominique, if you go to the store and you go to Walmart and you think there's no milk, but you need milk, are you going to go to Walmart? No? Exactly. But a lot of people do that, okay? They think, well, they're not going to want to do this with me. And so they in fact don't do anything because they already thought for the other person, and then they don't act, which is the worst thing. Go ahead. John and? Who's Mike? He knows? Okay. You, the one who knows. Intuition. Okay? With the knee? Okay, I'm sorry. I was almost there. Okay? Afraid of being vulnerable is another one. Okay? Fear of losing. Okay? I don't want to lose any money, so I'm going to hold on tight to it. I'm going to wait, and all of a sudden the deal is gone, or it's too late, or you, yes, this one, like somebody I know, you just didn't want to spend the money, and then that ends up costing like 3 times the amount. Okay? Struggle and righteousness. Okay? They do a lot of that in the U.S., the righteousness, being right, Fear of surrender, fear of losing my beliefs, afraid of being humiliated, fear of being betrayed. All of it is related to fear, okay? So you project things in the future, and you believe they're true, and you don't act, okay? Yes, go ahead. Yes? You're welcome. Okay? So what happens is you don't act, you just stay there, and you constantly just stay in your mind, and time go by. People are having deals, but you're not. Sir, what's your name? Jesus? Hi. Which one specifically? You need to, one, identify them. That'll make it faster. Okay? Fear of rejection? Okay, so come here. Sit here. Okay? Come to Daddy. Okay? Have a seat. All right? So give me an example of fear of rejection.
I'm a sales agent.
Sales agent, okay. What do you
So
sell?
I get a lot of houses.
Houses, okay. Okay.
So I get a lot of no's to get a
No's? Okay. To get a yes? Is that necessary, or is that just something that happens?
It's part of the process. You deal with a number of people, and you knock at 10 doors, and one
Okay.
of them.
Why don't you knock on the doors which are just going to say yes instead of the doors that are going to say no? Well, intuitively, you can do that, okay? But that's one thing, okay? So I want you to tell me, think of the last times you went to 10 houses, and they said yes or no. You got it? All right. Now, of these houses, you know one of those said yes. How many of those said yes?
It's a ratio of
1 out of 10? Okay, so of the 10, that one that said yes, what is it that made you get attracted to that house in which they said yes?
There was nothing specific that attracted me to that house. I just did it
Methodically, okay.
Same block, for example.
Okay, so every block you usually get one house that says yes. How do you know which one says yes? You don't. Okay, but remember I talked about the future, okay? So when you did get a yes, what is it in that house that made it that that person said yes?
For example, a person was already thinking in selling.
Thinking and selling, okay? Thinking. So that's one strategy they were doing. What about another block in which there was 10 houses? You found one, and that one said yes. What were they doing? Were they thinking about selling too?
It usually is something like that. People that are 1 year out to sell, and as they were explaining this morning, and they may be looking to downsize or move out or
Okay.
relocate.
Okay. So what if you used an approach in which you sent out a letter to the block before and said, listen, if you're thinking of selling your house, I'm the right person for you. Instead of doing 10 by 10, then you would get those same people with that same strategy that you already know is there.
You could. That's a technique.
Okay? Okay. So the idea here is your mind works with what is called a electromagnetic field. Okay? I know it's a big word. I can't spell it. Okay? I'm not going to spell it because it's too long, but anyways, bioelectric magnetic field. All right? I'm going to show you how this works. New studies show, I'm getting back to this as I'm doing it with you, but we're going to do another dance together. You ready? You want to put some music for dance, Joey? I'm just kidding. Okay? A bioelectromagnetic field. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay? Now, the new studies show that the heart thinks even more than the brain. Okay? That the bioelectromagnetic field is 60 times more than that of the brain. And so new studies are showing now that indeed we do think with our heart. Beautiful. Okay? So stand up, please. I'm going to show you something. All right? Now, you go all the way here. Right here? Yep. Okay. Now don't fall off, please. All right? What I want you to do is I'm going to tell him to come close to me. Okay? I want you to tell him when to stop when you see that he's about in my, quote, bubble. Everybody understand that? Okay? I want to be close, but I don't want to get that close. Got it? Okay? So, when I say go, yeah, me neither. Common goal, all right? So, when I say go, just come towards me, and whenever you see that he's getting enough and that you feel that it's close enough, then you tell me go. Got it? Okay? Do we have like Price is Right music or something? No? Okay. No. I'm wearing this suit, and I'm going to stay in his mind with this suit. All right? Are you ready? Okay, go ahead. Okay? Yeah, please. Okay, go backwards. Let's do it again. Okay? Okay? If you want to do it again, go. How do you know that? Your brain, your mind is seeing it with other senses. Remember I talked about, yeah, I feel it all right. Okay? And you feel it also. Okay? That's, if you can call it intuition. There's more to it, but let's just call it that way for now. Okay? So you can sense it. So when I asked him, how do you know that those people bought something in those houses? He said the same strategy. 1 out of 10, but all of them were thinking of selling. There is a way intuitively, like psychics do or mediums or whatever, to be able to know this. Okay? Why? By using other senses, just like I did with that. So I just wanted for you to see that even though your 5 senses are able to see me and him, there's other senses here at play that now you can sense when it's close enough. It's the same feel as doing this. All right? And these are the new research coming up with this. So if you want to sit down, thank you very much. Sit down. Oh, no, here. No. Run! Yes, Patrick, I think. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Correct. And the science behind that is very simple, okay? I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Michael Persinger, who is the lead neuroscientist in the world for psychic stuff, okay, or anything related to the mind in terms of psychic abilities and what's called remote viewing. And he mentioned this to me, which is very simple in neuroscience, is that your brain works with what's called hertz, okay? Anybody have a radio? It's the same process, okay? So telepathy or ESP or any of those things, like I just did here, bioelectromagnetic energy, are just frequencies, okay? So when Danielle asked, how can you influence the person in front of you who's a banker, the thing is, I did an exercise once with 200 people in the room, and I had people, be one chair here, the other person chair there, and just breathe the same for a while, for like 2 minutes, okay? Just listening. And one woman was able to, just said, I said, well, what did you get? She says, well, I kept seeing a baby, and I got something else, but the main thing was a baby coming. And the woman said, well, I just learned I'm pregnant yesterday, and I'm going to have a child. So, we don't pay enough attention to that, but that's very important. So for the strategy here, what I want you to do is, I want you to think, okay, so first of all, the process we have is they're thinking about selling, okay? So the process that I think is interfering, though, and that'll be up to you to decide, is you say it's always 1 in 10. It's a process, okay? Why? Because now it's become a conditioning for you. It's something you've accepted, okay? But if you only aim for the people you believe that are thinking in this way, that'll shorten up, okay? I can't do it now, but their strategy is very simple. We could talk about coaching afterwards, but there's very specific strategies to do that, okay? When I negotiate, or this week I had 5 people call me within like 20 minutes, one after the other. Okay, what should I bid for this, the amount for that? And I'm usually within a range of about $10,000 to $15,000 on $100,000 projects. Why? Because everybody has a frequency of thought. And if you can capture that thought with your mind, okay? You remember those little bonhommes when you were a kid? And they're thinking like this? They had that little bubble? Well, imagine there's another one, and the bubble's like this. This is where you want the information to come from. The intersection of the both, okay? In the physical world, according to Newton, opposites attract. Okay? In the spiritual world, which is the other world, like attracts like. Okay? So you always hear, if you want to be with positive people, you circle yourself with positive people. This is the same principle. Okay? In terms of thoughts. Okay? In terms of that, go ahead. You have, they were wanting to sell. What else did you find out specifically that they have in terms of correlation or something similar? Is it the way? Is there something the way they moved? This person is gonna.
You can tell in their physical
Okay.
interaction that they were comfortable with me
Okay.
at the door and talking to them.
Okay.
And everything. I would say 90% of them will invite me inside the house.
Okay.
Have a look at the house. How much you think this house
Okay.
is worth?
Perfect.
They're open to
Okay.
it because
Is
they
it
have the
possible when you see that physiology that your attitude also changes? Because when you mentioned it,
changes.
you went like this. Anybody saw that? His physiology changed, and he said, "Well, when they invite me," and he felt more confident, and then he started moving in front.
It does change.
Okay. So what if you started doing that first? What would change with the others? Do you think? It could change. Okay. So you see his brain starting to say, you know what? Yeah, man. Everybody gonna sell that house when I get out of here. Okay. Exactly. Okay. And what else did you notice from them? Remember, you want to study success.
Once you feel comfortable, then you feel more confident on what you're saying, right? So your self-speech.
Why didn't you feel confident before?
I guess
Yes. This I want to listen.
I've seen so many answers
Okay.
from no, I'm not interested.
But why would your confidence change? Why would your confidence change? Because now you're saying, when they tell me, then I can be confident. Okay. What if you're very confident at first, and then actually, again, self-esteem, self-confidence is what you're basing it on. So what is your measure of success when you go in that house?
Being able to get the listing.
Okay. What if it was different? What if it was for them to listen to your whole speech, which at the end they're going to buy? How would that change your confidence? No? What else would change in terms of you, in terms of success?
The fact that they can refer me to someone else. For example.
Okay, so it's not a dead loss, right?
The fact that they say, give me your car, I'll keep you in mind in case I,
Yeah.
in case I think that
And I need to sell?
future, right?
Perfect, okay. And what follow-ups do you do? You have a process you
Right,
follow?
yeah, every 3 months I call them.
Okay,
and then
perfect.
there's a specific
Okay,
process.
so I would invite you to look at your definition of success and not only being the fact that you're selling that house. So I would go and put 2 or 3 different successes. My first success is I need to go inside that house, just like a vampire. They need to invite me in. Don't think vampire, that's like a metaphor. Okay? They need to invite me in. So that'll start helping you understand and see certain things so that you can study their language, their nonverbal patterns. Okay? So even if they say yes or no, it's still a feedback in which you're gaining. You understand? Does that feel better? Is that better? Okay. So that, and another one is just define 2 or 3 different successes. Okay? Not just selling a house, but I'm going in there, I want 5 referrals that I know one of them, or if I get 10 referrals or 2 referrals that I know that one of them eventually will bring up in terms of a timeline that'll bring me out the success. Okay? When I meet new clients and they say no for coaching, or I say, well, usually I know I say no, but if I say no to success, I just say, listen, I can't help you, but I can give you this product that we have that'll help you. And then from that point on, when you're ready, just call me and then we can go to that place. Because usually they'll come back in the next couple of months or they'll refer something. Okay? Because I usually work only if you're referred to somebody by someone or you've attended one of my seminars, then you can just because of the time. So you need a criteria to have your success in a certain way that'll also allow you to be successful, not just them. Okay? There's a guy called Jordan Belfort. Anybody watch the movie The Wolf of Wall Street? Okay? Same thing, principle. That's what he says. It's all in your mind. Got it? All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, bye. Okay? Yes? Why are you going there? Okay, but why did you go there? If you thought you're not going to sell, why did you still go? Yes? I know, that's what I said, so why did you still go? Okay. But why did you continue if you thought she's not going to do what you wanted? What was the belief that made you continue then? Okay, so what's your question precisely? Okay, and so what, but okay, so you're saying have more humility, is what I'm hearing. Is that correct? Have more humility means even though you might not think they'll buy, just allow for the fact that they might, the possibility that they might, correct? Okay, perfect. Okay. Everybody hear that? Yes? Okay, perfect. All right. So lastly, here, because I'm running a bit late, in order to build unstoppable conviction, okay, you have to look at what is your limiting belief, okay? What are the presuppositions and assumptions, like she just did? They're not going to buy. That's an assumption. It's a presupposition, okay? You need to put a positive intention to it, okay? So you might ask yourself, why am I believing this right now? Okay? What's the positive intention of me believing this? Okay? Maybe I don't want to get hurt. Maybe I don't want to feel humiliated. Maybe I don't want to look stupid. Okay? Then you update the belief. Okay? You want to ask the question how. Don't ask why. Doesn't matter why. The how will give you the beginning of the process of the mechanism you're using to create what you're creating there, which is not working. Okay? So you want to find out the how so that you can change it, and then you want to update the belief. Okay? Always view your brain as it needs updates. It hasn't had an update for a lot of people for like hundreds of years, actually. Okay? 4 enemies that you can transform into allies: assumptions, beliefs, presuppositions, and criteria equivalence is when I ask them, what is the definition of what you're thinking? Okay? The definition you associate to something. Again, I'm going to leave you this a little bit with Steve so you can have access to it with the community and stuff like that. Okay? Create a possibility mindset, which means even though you think it's not possible, allow for the fact that you can. Okay? 5 cents for possibility. And just a second here. Here we go. Okay. Categorize your fears, okay? Are they leadership fears, okay? You need to know which mindset you're in to use the tools you need to go and transform them, okay? You don't want to do 50 things at the same time. It's not going to work. Are they leadership? Are they goal setting? Are they communication? Are they wealth mentality, or what I call poverty mentality or misery mentality? Are they in the realm or category of conflict resolution, time management, relationship dynamic, or life challenges such as disability, sickness, loss, divorce, and all those types of stuff, right? Same thing here. And this is my website, AlainJeanBaptiste.com, okay? I'm running a bit late, so for those of you that would like coaching, one-on-one coaching with me in order to transform beliefs or create your business to the next level, I'll be outside if you have any questions. And you can always come and see me to get a 30-minute free strategy session in which I'll book a time with you, look at what you're doing, and how you can create more success at doing it. All right? Once again, thank you very much. I thank everybody for listening. Okay, take care.